Is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints the true and living church upon the earth, guided by Joseph Smith the prophet? Let's take a look at what we can learn from the church's website in building or determining our testimony. This is lds.org. It's a beautiful website. Best way to find things, in my opinion, is to come all the way down to the bottom of the website to find the site map. You can find things there that you will otherwise have difficulty locating. Scriptures are easy to locate right here. Bible, Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price. We're going to go there just for purposes of disclosing here. Gospel topics, if we clicked on that and then clicked on essays, there are some interesting topics in there regarding subjects that people are struggling with in the church. We're going to be going to the Doctrine and Covenants here shortly. First, and in the Pearl of Great Price, into the Book of Moses, which is a selection from Joseph Smith's additions to the Book of Genesis, which we call translation, but it was from English to English. He just added things because he said that the great and abominable church took out parts of the Bible. That's in 1 Nephi, the Book of Mormon, chapter 13 or 14. We're going to look at a timeline here about concerning 3 events that are critical to this particular study here. We're going to study the visit of the Lord to Enoch, who was born when Adam was 622 years old. Briefly here, Adam leaves the garden, call that year 0. It's 4000 BC before Christ, or BCE before current era. So those numbers go down until you get to 0 at the time of Christ, and these numbers go up according to the age of Adam on the left here, or what he would be after he left the garden. He dies at 930. So Enoch, between about the time of somewhere after his birth and near the birth of his son, which is an important year when he's 65 years old, visits with the Lord face to face, then establishes the city of Zion, and the Lord lives with his people there. This says Enoch ascends 3013 BC. That's 65 years before Joseph Smith says. This is not from the church. We've got the Adam dies when he's 930. 927 is when the visit of the Lord occurs to Adam and all these patriarchs here, and everyone else that's righteous at the time, in the valley of Adam-on-Diamond. The thing that'll be a real challenge for us is to come way down here after the flood. Here's the days of Peleg after the flood. Here's the flood in this 2344 BC, when 1656 years after Adam left the garden. About 1800 years after he leaves the garden is when the Tower of Babel story occurs. Take a quick look at that. Tower of Babel, 2200 BC. Nimrod. So that's 1800 years after Adam left the garden, and about close to 900 years after this valley of Adam-on-Diamond visit with the Lord. So let's take a look. We're going to go straight to the account in the Doctrine and Covenants. So D&C, go to section 107, sections. Scroll down. Of course, you can obviously do this if you've got physical scriptures, but here you go, section 107. We're going to skip over here. This is a revelation from Jesus Christ to Joseph Smith. He's going to talk about the patriarchs and some of their experiences. And we're going to start with Enoch here. It says Seth was a perfect man right there. Okay, Enoch. Enoch was 25 years old when he was ordained under the hand of Adam, and he was 65, and Adam blessed him. This is with the patriarchal priesthood. And he saw the Lord, and he walked with him, and he was before his face continually, and he walked with God 365 years, making him 430 years old when he was translated. Okay. 3 years previous to the death of Adam, he called Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, and Methuselah, all these patriarchs, who were all high priests, with the residue of his posterity, who were righteous, into the valley of Adam-on-Diamon, and there he bestowed upon them his last blessing. And the Lord appeared unto them, and they rose up and blessed Adam and called him Michael, the prince, the archangel. Okay, that's in 927 years of Adam's age, about 3073 BC. Okay, next we're going to jump here into Moses. It's easier to just already have it here, so I can be a little faster with this. And we're just going to take a look. Love it when that happens. Look at the end of it first. This is chapter 7 of the book of Moses. And Enoch and all his people walked with God, and he dwelt in the midst of Zion. And it came to pass that Zion was not, for God received it unto his own bosom. And from thence went forth the saying, Zion is fled. I'm going to go to near the beginning here. Enoch is preaching to the people. He's talking about his encounter with the Lord. And in verse 4 here, verse 3 he says he was clothed upon with glory. In verse 4 he says, and I saw the Lord, and he stood before my face, and he talked with me, even as a man talketh one with another, face to face. And he said unto me, look. And then the Lord showed Enoch a vision of the future, of what some people did. He goes along through here, and I'm just going to touch on a couple of highlights here. And so great was the faith of Enoch that he led the people of God, and their enemies came to battle against them. And he spake the word of the Lord, and the earth trembled, and the mountains fled, even according to his command. And the rivers of water were turned out of their course. So powerful, skipping down a little here, was the word of Enoch. So powerful, and so great was the power of the language which God had given him. Line 2, but the Lord came up and dwelt with his people, and they dwelt in righteousness. And the Lord called his people Zion, because they were of one heart. And it came to pass in his days that he, Enoch, that he built a city that was called the city of holiness, even Zion. And lo, Zion, in process of time, was taken up into heaven. And Enoch was high and lifted up even into the bosom of the Father. Verse 27, and Enoch beheld angels descending out of heaven, bearing testimony of the Father and Son, and the Holy Ghost fell on many, and they were caught up by the powers of heaven into Zion. So people actually, or essentially, teleported up to the city of Zion after it was above the earth. So this was in the days of Enoch, long, long before the days of the brother of Jared. This being at the time of the Tower of Babel, according to the book of Ether. Now what happens here is the brother of Jared needs some help, wants the Lord to touch some stones, clear stones, and make them glow in the dark so they can have light in their special boats crossing the ocean, because they don't have any windows because they might get crushed by waves. So the Lord shows himself to him, and the Lord said unto him, because of thy faith thou hast seen that I shall take upon me flesh and blood, and never has man come before me with such exceeding faith as thou hast. For were it not so, you could not have seen my finger. This is Ether, chapter 3. This is verse 9. Verse 15 says, and never have I showed myself unto man whom I have created, for never has man believed in me as thou hast. Seest thou that thou art created after mine own image? Yea, even that all men were created after thee, in the beginning after mine own image. Okay, so the brother of Jared sees the Lord, and the Lord declares solemnly to him that he's never showed himself to anyone, that no one's ever had enough faith. Although this is about 1,000 years after the stories with Enoch, Adam, Seth, all those people. Enoch moving mountains and rivers, but it says no one's had enough faith here. 1,000 years later. If the Book of Mormon here is true, then the testimony, the revelations to Joseph Smith in the Doctrine and Covenants, and in the additions to the books of Moses in Genesis, are opposed to this. He says here they never happened. So, are any of them true? They can't all be true according to the testimonies here. They contradict each other completely.